prior.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Do a visual roll. We do have a quorum. The board informed me we do have some public comment. So, Trevor, whenever you have public comment, give us the name of the person, I guess, in our comment.
Will do.
Thank you.
First public comments from Kieran Smith. The subject is animal acts at county fairgrounds. The comment reads, DuPage County has a reputation of being a leader in animal welfare issues. Please further that well-deserved image by eliminating the use of animals at our county fairgrounds. In 2020, there is no reason for animals to suffer for our entertainment. Petting zoo animals are mostly young, suffer needlessly from chronic stress, and are prevented from behaving in any natural way purely for human entertainment. Exotic animals used in animal acts are often abused to learn tricks and have at times snapped, injuring those in the crowd. All animals have a place in our world as sentient beings. They are not props for our photos and entertainment. Please discontinue the use of animals at the county fairgrounds. That ends that comment. Next comment is from Jackie Freeman. The subject is DuPage County Fairground lease renewal. The comment reads, I urge you to keep the draft of the lease eliminating exotic animals and animal acts, including petting zoos and other exotic animal-related activities from the fairgrounds. It is cruel and unnecessary. People can go to zoos if they want to see such animals where they are better treated. Thank you. That ends that comment. Next comment is from Sonia Meisen, first name S-O-N-J-A, last name M-E-I-S-E-N. Subject is use of animals in petting zoos used for prizes or photo ops. Comment reads, it is time we respect the nature of animals and realize that they are not being used for propaganda. Animals should not be used for profit or be given away as prizes, which can endanger their lives if given to the wrong home. Science has proven that animals are sentient beings that feel fear and stress just as humans do. There's no need to put them through these practices any longer. Please discontinue the use of animals in this nature and allow them to live free of fear and stress. That ends that comment. Next comment is from Grace Galway. Subject, animals are not props or prizes. The comment reads, I oppose petting zoos, the use of animals as prizes in animal photo ops at the fairgrounds. That ends that comment. Next one is from Meagle Waters, first name M-E-G-A-L. The subject is please. Comment reads, as a resident of DuPage, I am concerned that the companies who lease the fairgrounds that held cruel petting zoos, animals as prizes, and animal photo ops at the fairgrounds are pressuring the village for an 18-month extension. Please do not cave to this and please deny this permit. Thank you. That ends that comment. Last comment is from Lindsay Albanese. The subject is opposition to petting zoos, the use of animals as prizes and animal photo ops at the fairgrounds. The comment reads, animals should not be used for entertainment purposes, prizes, or props for photo opportunities. These types of events place considerable stress on the animal and significantly decrease their overall health, well-being. That ends that comment and all public comments.
Thank you, Trevor. Dawn's on Zoom, so.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dawn.
Good morning.
Get her logged in. Chairman's remarks. Just one thing we have coming forward that we've talked about before in our budget is the indirect expenses that finance, HR, IT. It's going to be spread among the various funds throughout the county. So I was working with Laura and Nick in finance last week. The numbers that they were talking about have come down dramatically, I guess, or maybe not dramatically, but have come down. I'm not sure what the final numbers are going to be, but anything that seems reasonable. But I think the first numbers that I saw, that Laura saw, were not very reasonable. We had a $2 million budget and it was like $354,000 to be allocated to us. Once we pulled out some of the stuff that didn't make sense, it's gotten down dramatically, but we'll see what the final numbers look like. Moving on to our minutes. If I get a motion for approval of our minutes. So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Get on to our procurement items. If I get a motion for recommendation of approval of contract with Detmers Inc. to provide our PetLink microchips.
So moved.
Second. Any questions, comments on this one? All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. And then next we'll move on for to motion for recommendation of approval of our contract with Dr. Sheila Newhouse.
So moved to start.
Any questions, comments on this one? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Get our administrative update. Dr. Hanning.
Last night I was in Lombard at the council meeting and discussing the humane ordinance. So I just spoke on behalf of animal welfare.
And their committee, what their committee, do they pass a resolution in support of?
They passed a resolution, yeah, and they do have limitations being that they're not home rule, so they're looking to the county as far as what we're hoping to do.
Was there a resolution in support of the state giving the county and them the authority? I don't know what the resolution was.
Yeah, there was like 3 or 4 criteria as far as with different options. One might be like grandfathering in, happiness is pets. So there's a variety of different options.
Okay, thank you. Laura?
Yeah, thank you. So our intake from January through August has been just under 1,000 animals. I wanted to just share, I'd like to share some stats with you guys. So of those, 309 have been adopted, 147 have been returned to their own. Those are mostly dogs, and then cats coming in second. And 317 have been transferred to rescue partners. Those overall intake numbers are still low considered if we compare them to the prior year. What's really interesting though is despite that overall shelter intake being down, our foster kitten program has remained really steady compared to last year. It just kind of started later in the year, I think, because of all the shelter in place that happened. So as of August, 104 cats and kittens had gone through our foster program and were dispositioned by the end of August. So we still have kittens coming in, and fortunately got a steady stream of adoption applications. People still looking to adopt, which is really great. Also, January through August, we've issued 176 spay-neuter vouchers. Despite the vets being a little bit backlogged, they're still taking appointments for our spay-neuter voucher program, where residents participating in the LINK program or receiving Social Security disability can get their pets spayed and neutered and vaccinated and microchipped for free. That's the service that we offer. And then bites. So we've had about 843 bites processed through the county. We have a couple open dangerous investigations. We have had one rabid bat, which is thankfully still lower. We're still kind of entering in more active bat season though. From a staffing perspective, we have 4 open positions that have not been filled. 3 of those 4 are posted online right now, so we're hopeful to start getting some good candidates to review. We have our new animal control officer starting May, hopefully at the beginning of October. And October is also going to be busy because our new software platform, PetPoint, is going to be going live October 5th. And Christy and I have been working really closely with Moz and IT and the whole PetPoint team to get our data cleaned up and ready for migration to go live that Monday. The PetPoint team is going to have somebody virtually helping onboard us for, I think, was it 4 days, to make sure everything goes smoothly. And we've already started training some staff, and we'll be doing some more training before we go live. So that's a really exciting thing and something we've been working on for a while. It'll allow us to capture more data and analyze things so that we can make some better decisions about what we do moving forward. And then I also want to thank our donors to DuPage Animal Friends, because if any of you guys have watched social media, we were the recipients of some brand new kennel doors. They look gorgeous. And thank you to the facilities department for helping us get that all ready. They worked really fast, and now we're just kind of buying some accessories to hang cage cards and leashes, but it's cleaner, it's safer, it's so much quieter. Yeah. So if anybody would like to stop in, just let us know. We'll give you a tour of the new dog kennel rooms. So
I think Naperville TV was out. They did a segment on the,
did that go?
I haven't seen it, but I know they filmed it.
Yeah, that'd be great. So, and that is all I have today. Thank you.
Great. Okay, move on to,
Don's got a question.
oh, Dawn, sorry.
Yeah, it's not a question, it's a comment. You guys just knock it out of the park when it comes to social media. I mean, every animal that comes up on social media makes me want to adopt it. So you guys are doing a fantastic job getting those animals out there on social media and compelling people to adopt.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful.
That's actually a thank you to our DuPage Animal Friends Board. They've been on their own. They've been funding a person that's been helping part-time just to help us get that out there since we don't have the marketing position filled. So.
Excellent job. Excellent job, guys.
But I've heard similar comments the last 6 months of people talking about the social media aspect. Grant?
Oh, I just had a question totally different from what you were talking about, but didn't we pass funding for a survey or something like a year ago? Or some, where Ashley was involved?
Oh, so the feasibility study?
And maybe I missed the memo. Did we get that back or?
Yeah, we talked about it at
All right,
one of
never
our
mind. I'll
meetings.
talk to you
I
after
can
the
actually
meeting.
forward you the information.
I just don't remember.
So
Too
we've
much.
been,
Yeah.
part of why Friends has been helping with this marketing helps in the absence of us having a full-time position is kind of the phase 1 recommendation that came out of that plan was that we needed to build donor engagement. We didn't have the donor base to support that size of a project. So that is why we've stepped up social media. We've added a couple new welcoming adopter programs to keep people engaged with us and start working on that fundraising aspect. And then we're also going to be evaluating the actual building plan itself to try to see if we can scale it back to something that's probably more attainable.
Okay.
During the Giving DuPage, we were back and forth between the top number 1, number 2 donor for the whole competition. So they were, I think we finished maybe second. Then went
The county?
the DuPage Animal Friends,
Wow.
the not-profit that funds us, but they did the Giving DuPage with all the local charities for that 1 month of fundraising.
So I'll go ahead and email that too, but yeah, we're in that first phase of
Probably a
trying to
sleeper in
build
that meeting.
capacity from the fundraising perspective.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to old business. I touched on this briefly in my chairman's report, the fiscal 2021 budget. Like I said, that the county's going to be allocating indirect costs to all the different funds, maybe 50 of them across the county. The initial Maximus report that they looked at had $354,000 from last year's report. That's almost 15% of our budget, actually more than 15% of our budget. Clearly, if that's the case, we probably have to look at rating tags and the fees that we charge to cover the cost. However, I don't think that number is very accurate. I started looking into it. The report's like 300 pages. Clearly, the way they were spreading the expenses didn't make sense. So things like accounting and budgeting, they took the entire finance department, allocated equally to every single department and every little fund, like the sheriff merit commission got the same as, the circuit court of the clerk, got the same dollar amount. That didn't seem like it made sense. Same with grants and auditing. It appears that it was spread equally among all 50 departments and funds, even though some areas don't even have grants and other ones have a lot more. That one didn't make sense. As Laura and I started bringing those things up, our number dropped a little bit. Direct costs like postage and copy machines and supplies were being allocated, but we already get those directly billed to us. So I raised that question and they came back and said yes. So they pulled out all the direct costs. I think all the direct costs are going to be pulled out for the whole spread. They're going to go out now for an RFP to do the actual one next year. So once we determine what the actual number is going to be, we'll have to see if it's reasonable, we can absorb it within our budget, or if we have to look at raising the rate to cover it. One thing that came out of it is we did appear, if their methodology is correct, is that we do write a lot of checks and we do a lot of purchasing at animal services compared to how small of a department we are. So that's something that Laura's going to work on to see if we can cut down the amount of invoices that we have, meaning we can buy stuff monthly. Nick said that, I think you guys did that Public Works a while ago, but to reduce the amount of invoices. So if we're buying medicine and we buy it one at a time, or food, we get an invoice for $30, $50, if we can work with the vendors to do one for a month. So that'll help us when we get a real good cost on what it is. So, and that was just the finance department that I looked at. I didn't get into human resources, it was being allocated, and IT and the methodology that was even being used for that. But like I said, the county's going out for an RFP to have this study done, and I think finance, the new guy Jeff, is aware of it, and Nick, and they'll make sure it has, hopefully they'll get Brogan, our auditor, involved. It has some methodology that makes sense.
Well, is the auditor involved? Because I think you should be, because this stuff is bothersome when you're saying that they're throwing stuff out that we're already taking care of, and the numbers are out of whack. So I would hope that the auditor's in the loop on it.
This report is garbage. I mean,
Well, thank you, and thank you for doing what you did, but I still think that we need a second set of eyes, and I would like to have the auditor's eyes on that.
it's a simple concept. I mean, firms do this all the time. It's just you have to have the right rationale for allocating it, and then
Well, the formula's off base. is what
your
it is.
staff has to track their time appropriately also. And I'm not sure if it's the Maximus firm or if it was us that gave them the information without them suggesting to us, but hopefully we can get the auditor, because Bob knows exactly how that should work and has a good rationale.
For the record, the report previous to this wasn't actually being charged to anyone. So it's not something we've been involved in because there wasn't actually a financial impact. It wasn't being used. It was sort of referenced just by one department that it really wasn't affecting as much. So this is the first time it's actually being costed out to folks. So that's why it hasn't been, we just haven't looked at it because it didn't have an actual impact.
Yeah, I think they've been paying $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a year for this 300-page report that nobody uses except for, they use one number, I believe, for the convalescent center. Is that correct? And I don't think anybody ever looked at it. This predates even Rayfek and staff. It goes way back, and nobody even looked at it. They just got the report. This firm just kept taking garbage that we gave them and gave us garbage back, and then nobody.
And they got a bill for 7,000. Hey, wait a second.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. I mean, they're only giving the report back based on what we give them and tell them how to do it. So that we weren't using it for anything, and now they're trying to use it, but it didn't make any sense. So, yeah.
Good job, Brian.
But depending on what happens with the number, we'll have to look at possibly raising the raising tax fees if it's more than our budget can absorb. Any other old business? And then new business, we just threw this on here, but we had come through our committee, we got language for the lease if we do an extension for the fairgrounds. Right now they're talking about, I think, a year and 9 months, maybe September of 2022, I believe. And we've given some language to Public Works and Nick to put into the extension regarding the use of animals. Laura, I think, has done a great job in trying to compromise, but allowing them to do the 4-H and the county fair and their animals there, but not all the extra exhibits, the petting zoos, the giveaway of prizes, the retail sales. He still has been walking about that language, and so he's proposed different language that's going to be in our Public Works meeting later today. So we'll see how that goes.
And I just,
And then there was a one-page fact sheet I think Laura put together, or staff put together, that we sent to all the Public Works committee members. So that you guys have that behind your back. So, go ahead, Grant. I see you, Don. I'll get you in a minute. Grant.
I just wanted to jump in because I want to make sure everybody understands what the circumstances are regarding the county fair. There's a not-for-profit corporation that has a lease with the county. It's 50 years long. It's coming to an end this year. So because of COVID-19, we're thinking of extending it for a year or two. And we've been in negotiation with them for maybe a 5-year extension. But the County Fair Authority, probably 49 years ago, started because they wanted to run the county fair, but they run the entire leasehold property, which is 45% of the entire campus. And they don't make money from the county fair. They lose money from the county fair. And the county doesn't fund them. They get funding from the state, which has gone down by about 2/3 over the last 10 years. So the only way for them to pay their salaries, to maintain the leasehold property and improvements, is to run other activities throughout the year. And some of them have involved pets. And I didn't realize all the things that they were doing with pets. And I agree as to what we've done so far with them. And when I first got this last week, I was a little concerned that we were cutting off a lot of their other financial avenues so that they wouldn't be able to even engage in what they were doing for the next year, year and a half. Because I saw that they were going to ban prizes. When I first saw that, I'm like, well, there's a bunch of kids who bring in their pets for the county fair or have other things during the year, and the winner gets a pig, but they're already raising pigs, so it would be no big deal. But then Dr. Hannock and everybody else explained to me that no, this is kids who maybe come over and they get an animal like a goldfish in a bottle or something like that, and they're not really prepared to take care of that animal, even though it's as small as a fish or maybe a whatever else. So
Rabbit, we get a lot of those over.
rabbit, yeah, the big rabbit problem.
So
So I'm not in favor of that. But then we got to the petting zoos, and my concern about that is I've seen other zoos and things like that having animals. Even today, I thought I saw like Brookfield Zoo, or one of them's got the stingray. Pet the stingrays in the water, which, so, and my concern is, I know we've got a lot of information here about how some kids or adults maybe were infected over the years. My concern with that is that there's seem to be millions of people who participate in that. And I didn't want to get to the point where we start banning things because a very small fraction of people somehow get injured by it. Having said that, I also want to hear at Public Works, if I'm able to be there, and Jim McGuire is supposed to be there, who runs the county fair, as to what portion of these things actually fund his organization so that he can do the county fair. And that's sort of the balance that I think we have to engage in. Is we obviously want to protect animals, and we don't want kids to get them who are going to abuse them or toss rabbits in the backyard when they get tired of them. We don't want kids coming over riding a pet pony and getting sick from that. But I just question how much some of the information, if we're not, I think I used the phrase, putting out a match with a fire hose, banning some of these activities because a very small percentage of the people getting hurt. Then again, if it doesn't really help them financially, then I could care less. So that's the questions I'm going to be asking McGuire if I get to go to Public Works, because I'm not on that committee. But I think that's what he'd be telling you if he was sitting here now, is that some of this may fund the operations of that committee so that he can go ahead and put on the county fair. So
We lose money.
lose money putting on the county fair. Half the people who come to the county fair aren't even from DuPage County. But that's the biggest spot where animals get exhibited. I mean, I go there, probably all of you do go there too. And I mean, there's cows, horses, goats, sheep, rabbits, pigs, and you know, I'm sure there's people touching those all the time. And but as pointed out to me, we've given him an exemption from barring those animals who get touched all the time, just because there's too much public, not enough staff to stop people from doing it. So he's got that right to bring those animals in for the county fair. It's all the other things you might do during the rest of the year that would be precluded. So I'm just interested to see if he can articulate how much money he's actually raising from those activities, as opposed to our concern about protecting the animals and the public from those animals.
I think a bigger question, begs the question is, you know, does the county fair really lose money, or does it lose money because the salaries they take for a year are $350,000, $380,000 and continue to go up? Seems like we're just subsidizing.
They lost money before they did that.
Before they raised their salaries, so they were from 300 to 350, but their salaries are tremendous. And honestly, you know, in my District 3, I have Clarendon Hills Daisy Days, I got Darien Fest, I got the Downers Grove Fest, we got Woodridge that has the festival, Westmont has their festival, all of carnival rides that all the people in my district go to, and they're cheaper going on the rides than what they are at the county fair.
Everybody in District 4's got festivals too, but maybe this is another chance we could get the auditor
I'd
involved.
say next time around, we could use get free pass on all the carnival rides.
Pony Red.
Free parking at Grant's house too.
The county gets $1,200 a year for that facility. We could use it for a lot of other things. As we found out, we had COVID out there. We're gonna use it. We'll get more money for animal services to use it for,
You sound like a no-vote on the fair extension, but that wasn't really my point. But
yeah.
my
I
point
don't
is,
think that's the best use of the property for us to give, you know, get
it's gonna be a future heliport in 150 years.
Thank you, Chairman Krajewski. I was just wondering, you mentioned a one-page fact sheet, and I'd love for somebody to email that to me, please, because I've received about a half dozen emails from animal rights people, and I just wanted to give you a flavor of what they're saying to me. Here's one. Hi, Commissioner Dessart. I have heard that the fairgrounds lease is going to be discussed again tomorrow. I am so grateful that the county commissioners have considered and acted upon the negative effects of the animal expos. It is my hope that the county will decline Mr. McGuire's substitute language in regard to the lease extension. I believe it was Section 5. Animals, even goldfish, are not meant to be game prizes or photo op props. It is well past time for these inappropriate practices to be put to rest. So that's kind of the flavor of the emails that I'm receiving for your consideration. But please, somebody email that one sheet fact sheet so that I can, you know, respond to these folks.
We'll get that.
Are you guys receiving those emails as well?
I got a couple
Okay,
We had six public comments too. I don't know.
Right. Right.
That's a pretty
Yep.
educated person who knows the counter offer that Jim McGuire's giving
Yeah, it
us.
smells a little bit.
It's in the packet.
Yeah.
It's in the packet.
Is that anonymous?
and they watch this so closely, so that's why they're educated, yeah. Thank you.
I was looking for that language. Any other new business? Okay, without objection, we are adjourned.
All right, good meeting.